Welcome to Deconstruct Your Procrastination Habit. Grab a cup of coffee and a journal, something to write, and let's get started. In this video, and this is a longer video, I will share with you why we procrastinate, the whole underlying mechanisms behind it, and it's not what you might think, and it's definitely not just go get it done or stuff like that. And two of my favorite tools, how to overcome it, and obviously a lot of science behind it, because I have a degree in applied neuroscience and my research topic has been goals and well-being, and procrastination is a very big part of this, because many of us, me included, we have so many goals and we don't get it done, starting with, for me, getting fit, or starting working on my website. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Working on my website or creating online content like this. I've been wanting to build this YouTube channel for so many years, and I never got to it because of this underlying fear and a whole bunch of other issues, and we'll talk about this in this masterclass. So sorry, this is a long intro, and let me start this correctly, because, and you can join anytime. We have this, I'm starting this free procrastinator anonymous meeting, and if you go to www.goalsninja.com, you can find a link where you can sign up, and I would be very happy for you to join. It's the last Tuesday of the month, and you need to check your local time. For me, it's I think 5 o'clock my time, but check out what it is your time. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you and overcoming this habit together, because it's a habit, it's a learned behavior, and we can overcome it together. Okay, so let's get started. Deconstruct your procrastination habit, and let me share my screen here with you. And yes, so this is a workshop, so again, have pen and paper ready. It's really important, and let's work on this together, because it's such an important topic. And I realized it's not only me struggling with it, it's so many other people. And I've been creating those tools, and I've been working on myself to change the way I work, or the way I deal with this whole procrastination thing, and the goals that the procrastination have stopped me. That makes no sense. The goals that my procrastination has stopped me from achieving. Now I have it. So, and very important, be careful of the internet gurus, because this whole thing, just get it done and you need to be disciplined. If it was that simple, none of us would be dealing with procrastination, right? Because we know what to do. We know if we want to lose weight, we need to eat less and exercise more. But the whole doing part is where it holds us back. So again, I hope you have a cup of coffee. I need to run on caffeine today. So let's go to the next slide. And the whole thing is, don't we all procrastinate sometimes? And the whole question is it a learned behavior? Are we born with it? Is it a fixed personality trait? And do we have to go on living like that? I mean, none of us want to procrastinate, right? And why do we do this stuff, being capable and smart human beings? And that's a question I've had for such a long time, because I've had goals and I never took action towards them. And another thing is, we definitely don't feel great about ourselves when we're doing it, right? And so again, hi, I'm Gwen, and I am a chronic procrastinator. When we moved to Germany last year, and I found a notebook from 2017 with exactly the same goals that I set for 2024, and it shook me to the core, where I realized that procrastination is my bottleneck. And I realized I had this crippling fear of building my website, but also creating video content like this one. And this led me to start researching procrastination and looking, why do we do it and what can I do about it? And I took a slightly different approach, because I did not go into this research topic looking to confirm my theory, but I went in there like, I know scrap, I know nothing, because Nothing I see out there in the internet works for me. So what does science say? And my solution process for the past years has always been, if I have a problem, I look into science for answers. I go to Science Direct. I go to Google Scholar or to Ovid, and I love Ovid, and or any of those search engines. And I look for answers. And then you start with one research study, and you look at the references, and you go to the next and to the next. And so my whole Zotero file manager is huge, full of research on procrastination. And some of this I will share with you because it'll take a lot more than this 1 hour, and most of it will probably bore you because this is not your real area of interest. You just want to overcome procrastination, and that's perfect. So sorry, I'm waffling on. Anyway, a definition of procrastination. So procrastination, the general definition is the voluntary delay of an intended action despite knowing you will probably be worse off for the delay. So for example, if you procrastinate taking, for example, certain nutritional supplements that are non-essential for you, this is not really procrastinating because you will most likely not have a negative outcome. But if you're slightly overweight like me and you don't exercise, if you procrastinate this exercise, you will most likely be worse off in the end because being overweight is not a thing that's very healthy. So this is the whole thing, procrastination. It's only procrastination if not doing it will have a negative effect on your life or on you. And more precisely, and this is a definition I really like a lot, is from C. Royce, is procrastination is a form of self-regulation failure. That means we prioritize short-term mood repair over the long-term pursuit of our goals, our intended actions. And now it makes very much sense to me. And this is the first kind of definition where it clicked and I realized, like, okay, so I want to work on my website. I sit down on my desk and I want to work on my website, but then suddenly I'm scrolling Amazon and shopping for books or something. So this whole idea of the tech of creating a website makes me feel uncomfortable because I'm not a techie, and this is why I procrastinate. However, if it only were that simple. And I realized, going deeper into the topic, there's so many reasons why we procrastinate. So you have here the temporal motivation theory, you have the whole goal setting theory, you have life domain specific procrastination. And this is academically, I didn't really procrastinate and I did well academically, but in this whole business context, I did procrastinate. And in this whole healthy living context, I definitely procrastinated for so many years. So let's go and have a look at this. So I started with this model from C. Royce, which makes so much sense. And after a while, it looked something like this. And this is already a few weeks old and more has been added to this. So this one here has been getting more complicated by the day. And then again, things are not that simple. In this video, we will talk about those 4 parts of this screen, which is stress, which is decision making, emotion regulation, and this whole stress thing. I'm sorry, I'm growing old. I'm looking at my screen more closely. So the whole question for me, and that has been driving me over the past years, is how do I get from this total mess in my brain to my brain functions and I do the stuff I want to do. And I've always had phases where this worked well, and then I had very long phases where this didn't work well. So in December, it worked really well and I created a whole bunch of content, and then I got a flu and I got another flu, and this totally knocked me out. I started eating too much again. I started not creating content because I felt uncomfortable. Then I have this whole autoimmune disease and chronic fatigue thing going on. I don't like taking the medicines that I can take to make myself feel better. So there's a whole bunch running in the background just to share that I'm not this perfect person and I don't have it all figured out. And I'm with you in this journey, but I can share what science tells me, and I can share what has worked for me and the worksheets that I've created for myself, which I will do in a bit. So let's start with stress. And obviously, if you are a neuroscientist or anything in the social sciences, this is obviously very much simplified. But this is just to show that, and this is the whole burnout cycle. And what is interesting for us, we have all those daily stressors. And those daily stressors, they're small things, they're not big things, and they just add up. But this is what chronic stress looks like. And there is this very interesting study. I don't have the reference. I just read it yesterday, the day before yesterday, about how this whole COVID pandemic has been this chronic stressor for us. And many of us suffer with mental health ever since. And we're not even aware of it. And I think many of us, we're scared to talk about it. Or we don't even know what's wrong with us. We can just feel something is not quite right with me and I don't feel well. So here, these are the whole psychosocial stressors, and that can be emails 24/7. That means maybe you just changed your habit. Maybe you just changed, like me, you're trying to change your eating habit, or you've been watching the news too much. We have an election coming up in Germany soon, and things are a bit crazy here. Maybe you relocated to another city, or in our case, to another country. Your work status has changed. Maybe you're planning a holiday or Christmas is coming, but we'll do this kind of a psychosocial stress test in a while together. And then, of course, flu season. It's winter here. It's freezing. So flu season, that's also a big stressor. That stressed me to bits in December, having my own business and not being able to work for so long. So anyway, you have this whole chronic stress thing going on, and this depletes your cognitive resources, which then in turn leads to avoidance behavior. And avoidance behavior is just another word for procrastination. And then, of course, you disengage, and this leads to burnout and so on. This is a whole different topic, not part of this masterclass, but just that you have seen this. And for us, what is interesting, chronic stress leads to depletion of cognitive resources, leads to avoidance behavior. But this whole burnout thing is still important because you can procrastinate yourself into burnout. And that is a very important topic too, but again, not quite the scope of this video. So could then procrastination be framed as a symptom of stress and cognitive overload? And that is the whole topic of what we're doing here and what we can do about it. And we will work on this. So please bear with me and watch the science with me, because it's so important to understand this. Because if you don't, there's so many things we don't know that we don't know. And before I knew this, I would judge myself so harshly for procrastinating, not realizing that my procrastination really is a solution to a whole set of other problems I have. So where is the evidence to this? So procrastination and stress. So there are a lot of research studies that show that stress correlates with procrastination. So higher stress levels predict increased procrastination. That means the more stress you have in your life, the more likely you are to procrastinate things. And then Ma et al. From 2022 stressed individuals procrastinate more, especially if they have low self-regulation skills. And many of us have them because we're not even aware of them. And society and social media tell us, hey, you need to listen to your gut feeling, you need to follow your intuition, your emotion, all of this. And this doesn't always work to our benefit. And then stress depletes self-control. Shang et al. From 2023, so you can see they're all quite recent studies, and that was a study with civil servants, and stress led to procrastination via ego depletion. And then let's look at procrastination and cognitive overload. So people procrastinate to reduce their cognitive load, and that means we delay tasks to manage mental resources more effectively. And the other thing I found very interesting is that low metacognitive awareness increases procrastination. And that means if we don't think about what we think, that is when we increase procrastination. And so it's a very important habit you can get into, is to question your thoughts and to think about, why do I think this? Or what does it mean when I think this? Or what kind of emotions does it create in me when I think certain things? And you probably will find a lot. I will make a video on that. Okay, next slide, procrastination and well-being. So procrastination has very strong ties to our mental health. And I know that because not only science tells us so, but also from my own experience, where I realized the more I procrastinated on my health, on my business, the worse I felt. And I went into this whole overstressed burnout mode because I would try to outwork myself and then I would crash and I would do all sorts of other things that are not relevant to the things that I wanted to do. And we've all had that. We spent hours cleaning our email inbox or working on things that are not essential for what we actually want to attain. So this whole thing, procrastination and mental health, is a big thing not many people talk about. And that procrastination leads to stress and anxiety, which again create more procrastination. So it's this whole horrible vicious cycle that we get into. And then the whole procrastination mental health model. So chronic procrastination leads to long-term stress. And of course, there are some studies that suggest a way more complex relationship. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of this whole self-help and internet people talking about mental health when they don't have the proper qualifications, is because things are more complicated. There is not one thing that magically will fix depression. There is not one thing that will magically fix procrastination or give us self-discipline. There is no magical fix for an autoimmune illness. And there are quite a few people that propagate that out there, that they have the one solution, drink lemon juice or something like that. So be aware of that and always question and look at the science, even by yourself. And so much of the science is openly available today. So this is the first thing I would like you to do. And there are two ways you can do it. Below this video, I have a link where I have put all the files together and you can just download them from my Google Drive. And this is one way you can do it. The other way is you just take your phone, your calculator, and I'm just using my phone to record this video. But you just go through this, the life change index. And here you have the impact scores, and they go from the highest to the lowest. And so you have, of course, death of spouse if you didn't have it in the past 12 months. And important here is the life change index is for the past 12 months, and if you know it will happen in the next few weeks. So same with obviously all the others here. You can just take your calculator and add them up. So death of spouse, divorce, jail term, or personal injury or illness, and that can just be a flu too. And then maybe the change of health in a family member. Maybe your child was sick or your husband or wife were sick. Maybe you've changed your line of work. And I do this about once a month. I have this in my calendar, and I do this life change index things about once a month, because a few months back I gave a course and I did this with participants, and I just did it alone because I gave them 5 minutes to do it. And I thought, okay, let me do that. And I was shocked because I had a score of 388, which you can see here on the right hand side is really big. And it weren't any of the big things. There was nothing like this up here. It were all those small things that kind of added up. And so realizing this helped me that, okay, Gwen, you need to do something to reduce stress, because when I'm stressed, then I'm not able to mood regulate as well, and that means I'm more likely to procrastinate. And obviously this whole sickness thing, having an underlying disease, makes me more sensitive. So I need to be careful with that. So take 5 minutes to do this, pause the video and do this, or you can also download it and just do it later. And then share your score with me in the comments below. And commit with me to do this maybe every 4 to 6 weeks to see where you're at. Because only if we know where we're at, we can do something about it. And again, mind you, the research behind this is quite old. It's from 1967, it's really old. But it still holds true. And yes, there would probably be a few more things if we would update this. Again, yes, times have been moving so fast and change is very stressful for us, even though we're not aware of it. Okay, so because stress is such a big thing, no matter where you were with your stress index, let's make a list of stress reducing activities. And you'll get extra brownie points if there are any of those things here, like nature exposure, exercise, crafting, positive social interaction, like hanging out with friends and you enjoy that and you don't just get completely drunk or stuff like that. Spending time with your pets, doing charity work, breathing exercises, listening to music, decluttering, expressive writing. There's so many things that you can do. And keep in mind, personal differences do apply. For example, mindfulness just doesn't work for me. My head goes, if I need to do this whole body scan, my brain goes in total overload and it just stresses me more because I'm thinking like, oh, this takes 45 minutes and I could do so many other things in those 45 minutes. So it doesn't work for me. So look for things that work for you. And then here list 10 or 15 things that you can do to reduce stress, and then schedule them religiously. Put them in your calendar, and that can just be something small like I take my cup of coffee and I sit outside on the terrace to drink my cup of coffee, looking into the garden, or spending time with my little dog. I don't know if you can see her in the background. So it can be those small things, and schedule them and do them because they will reduce your load of stress. And if you're less stressed, you're less likely to procrastinate. Okay, so either you pause the video and give yourself a few minutes to do this, or do it afterwards. And let's go to the next slide. So mental models, and this is something I used to work as a therapist in Switzerland, and I used to teach that model to all of my clients because I think it is so important. Many of us, we're stuck in this whole Freudian belief system. And again, Instagram and all those online coaches and so on will tell you that this is the way we function. So many of us believe that I am this way today because of trauma, because my mom wasn't nice, because whatever reason we have why we procrastinate or why we do certain things. Of course, the past plays a role. However, the goals you set are way more important than your past, and you have a choice. So this model, I think, is very important. And I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot here because there's so many things I want to share with you. And now I have you here and you're watching my video. So mental model, this is based on Beck's model. And if you Google Aaron Beck, his CBT model, this is based off his model, and I just added a few things to it. So if this is your life here, this is your life from conception to how hopefully a very long and healthy life. And this here is you today, this one here. Okay. And your perception, and it's important, it's just your perception of everything you've ever seen, heard, or experienced. From this, your brain creates little automated apps. And if you look at the 3-year-old, and the 3-year-old learns to tie shoelaces, you can see the 3-year-old like, and the tongue reaching the ear, and it's so hard for this child at the beginning, and then it practices it, and suddenly a year later it ties its shoes. And if I wake you at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning and ask you to tie my shoelaces, without thinking, even half asleep, you will tie my shoelaces. You might get grumpy with me, but You can't tie my shoelaces because it has become automatic. Same with taking a turn with the car. When you did your first driving lesson and you had to turn left and you had to clutch and you had to look behind the shoulder and you had to, all those things, and the old lady with the dachshund in front of you. It were so many pieces. And now today, so many years later, you can drive, you can turn left, you can turn right, and you can talk to your friend sitting next to you. You can think about your to-do list while you're driving. And driving has become automatic. So our brain does that to save energy. So it's a very useful thing. And most of those apps are just useful. And so from those apps, those apps make out who you are today, but also who you will be in the future. I need to fix this because it automatically changes slides after a certain amount of time. So, and again, those apps, and let's go back here. So there are two ways you can really work on yourself. One thing is you work on your perception, and the other thing is you work on the apps, on those little habits. And they can be thinking habits. They can be so many things apart from tying your shoelaces. So how does media, and that's a very big topic. And again, it's a workshop. So if you have the time now, just pause the video and do the work. It'll be so helpful for you. Or watch the video. I watch a lot of videos in 1.75 or double speed. But then come back at some point and watch it slowly, and you can scroll ahead to the exercises and do them because they really can be life-changing. For me, they have been life-changing. So again, there's research on that. There's a lot of research on that our media consumption has a great influence on how we think and feel. And I put in this triangle because, and I link the TED Talk underneath. It's from Chris DeMaya on polarization. And so his research on polarization, so we start somewhere up there and we can be in the same spot. We can watch the same YouTube video with a friend, but one of us goes down this way and the other one goes down this way. And then it's the next video and the next video and the next video. And at some point we're so far apart, we cannot even talk with each other about the topic because I believe this and my friend believes this. And this is this whole idea of an echo chamber. And if I use this in the context of social media, and maybe you've noticed that on your social media, you only see stuff you like. If you are a Republican, you will only see videos that show good things about Republicans. And if you're a Democrat, it'll be only this. If you're an entrepreneur, it's more likely you will see a lot of posts that you have similar to what you've previously liked. Or if you're a scientist, it's the same thing. So we live in our own little social media bubbles. And the reason is social media sites make money from us spending as much time as possible on their website. So they want us to like the stuff that we see. It's their business model. And it's okay because we enjoy the stuff we like. The downside is we're not so much exposed to things that we don't like. So our tolerance has kind of diminished over time, but that's a different topic. So here, so let's make a list of, and again, take 5 minutes, take a 5-minute break here and make a list of the movies and TV shows you've watched recently, maybe the past week or the past 2 weeks. And then look at your Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, whatever feed, and just look at the top 10, 20, 30 posts that are there. What do you see there? And what news have you read or watched? Like for me in Germany at the moment, we have an election. It's a bit crazy here. And again, here it's the same, like in many countries, Germany has become very polarized, very much left or very much right. And we can't really talk to each other from either end of the spectrum. So take your time and make a list of that, and we'll work with that list afterwards. So take a break, please, and make a list. What movies, TV shows, what's the most common type of posts that you have on your Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, whatever. And then what are the top news articles that are currently, if you know, on your news feed? And when you've done that, come back to me. Okay, welcome back. I really hope you did this, because now we will explore what do they teach you. So you look at, for example, what's on your list. I have my list here. And so, for example, with my family, we've been watching a whole bunch of crime shows lately. So what do they teach my unconscious? And I use that word reluctantly, but I use it because most of us know what I mean with it. So what does it teach me? So basically it teaches me there are killers out there and we don't see the evil ones. And yes, so, and then of course, the news we watch are most likely politicians are all corrupt. They never do what we want. They don't listen to their voters, all of this. Okay, so, and then for me, it were a lot of fitness and yoga influencers on my Instagram. And they basically told me they made me feel bad because they seem so perfect. They have all the time they need to meal prep, to be in their kitchen. Their fridge looks super beautifully organized and mine is a mess and it needs cleaning. On the other hand, I have puppies and they make me smile. So take a few minutes and list your items that you've been spending time with. And for me, for example, and I had this is quite an old story actually, but about 12, 13 years ago, my husband and I were very much into watching Criminal Minds. And if you don't know the show, it's quite brutal. And there was this serial killers and they're always very evil and twisted. And I remember, so it must have been more than that. I had my daughter, small, like toddler. I put her behind my seat, in her car seat, in my car. I sat down in the driver's seat and suddenly I got this panic like, oh my God, maybe there is this murderer sitting behind me trying to kill me. And my next thought was like, Gwen, you're really stupid. You just put your baby in the seat behind you, so there can't be a mass murderer behind you. And I realized that while I was thinking about my baby, I just hit the button to lock the car. And I felt this panic and I was wondering, where on earth does that come from? And of course, it was the TV show. So I stopped watching it and it took me about 2 weeks or even longer to kind of get over this. And I've never watched it since because it just gives me this kind of weird anxiety that I'm afraid of noises or places that normally I would not. So I'm a little bit of a sensitive person there. So take a moment and look at what are the negative things that you can obviously learn from the TV shows, the Facebook, Instagrams, or whatever you're consuming. And of course your news, yes. Take 5 minutes and do that for me, please. Okay, welcome back. So let me share my Instagram puppy experiment with you. And I started this about 2 weeks ago, a little more, where I realized again, and you can see here, this was my Instagram feed before. I would have something about wrinkles. I turned 50 this year, about fitness, about moms, about creating candies, yoga, and a lot of the whole self-help kind of thing, because goals interest me, even though in a more academic way, how to declutter your mind and all of those things. And none of them particularly made me feel good. And I would use my phone a lot to kind of distract, like many of us. So I decided my first step were only puppies. And then I went on to religiously like only Dachshund puppy videos and images. So I would really fight against this impulse to look at stuff that was not puppies. But again, I just looked at puppies and I liked puppies, and I would make a point to let reels with puppies run to the end. And it took me, and every day I did this, I had more and more puppies. And you can see about a week later, it were only puppies and one kind of journaly thing there. So, and then if you do that, beware, after about a week or so, Instagram will try to trick you and the first time I fell for it, and it showed me a cute baby duck. And I liked it because who doesn't like baby ducks, right? And then things started to creep up. And then I went this step back, became aware of it and said, okay, no, I will only like dachshunds and dachshund puppies. And so I went back. And then Instagram tries to sneak stuff back in. And that is where it takes a little bit of discipline, or not even discipline, just awareness, where I'm saying, okay, I want to reprogram the Instagram algorithm, the algorithm to just show me stuff that I want to see. And at this moment, it's dachshund puppies, because they make me smile, they make me feel good. There is nothing inherently evil or anything that would make me feel bad about puppies. And again, they make me smile. So go with me on a dachshund puppy diet and tell me, share below, how does that work for you? Send me an email at gwen@goalsninja.com or connect with me on any of the social media. I would love to meet you and talk to you about procrastination and, of course, how you reprogram your social media feed. And then notice what it does for you, because then you can use your social media to make you feel good. And I think this is the whole key. We can't really live without it anymore, but we can use it for our good if we use it mindfully. So, and another thing is, and this is where this whole thing kind of feeds in, and trust me, there is a red thread going through this, and that is, goals have been my topic for many years. I've done so much research on goals. And one of the things I've noticed is very few of us have thinking goals. We don't set a goal on how do we want to think and what do we want to think and what thoughts do I need to repeatedly be thinking in order to be able to attain my goal. So I have this whole big goal setting framework that I like to use with my clients, and thinking goals are part of it. And it's also free. I have a not very great YouTube video on it. But yes, sorry. So thinking goals, and the whole thing is, many of us deal with this whole negative automatic thoughts that just come to us and we feel we have no control about. But if we take this step back and we think, we become aware of those goals, we can choose deliberately, say, hey, no, I want to think about something else and put my mind to work on something else. And yes, so you can counter them with those whole deliberate inputs and thoughts. So I will not really edit this video because I want you to know that this is me, this is authentic. I'm not some AI figure or something, and this is my kind of a bit messy home, and my light is not perfect because I'm just using my iPhone. But I have information that is important for you. I have tools that really work, and I have the science behind it. And I'm not just creating something to get clicks, but I really want to help you and overcome this procrastination, because I've suffered so much. So again, now it's switched by itself again. So I decide to procrastinate. Do I really want that? And again, we often decide that unconsciously, and it's habitually, and we don't really think about it. This is why I had the thinking goals on the previous slide. So for me, example, it is eating comfort food when I'm tired or stressed or bored. And I never consciously wake up in the morning and think, oh, I really want to wreck my health today. Let me eat a lot of crisps and chocolate and junk food and deep fried stuff. No, I don't do that. None of us does that. The same way I don't sit down at my desk thinking, oh, let me waste my day and go through Amazon instead of working on my website or on my YouTube videos. And so none of us do that consciously. It just kind of happens. And this is where we want to, really have this very thin slice where we want to go into that and work exactly at that point, the decision point, because this is a very small breaking point where it's very easy to break this habit. So let's look at Kahneman's System 1 and System 2 thinking. And this goes back to the apps here. And this is a really awesome book if you're interested in the way we think and why we think in certain ways. Read this book. It's really awesome. It's an easy read. There is an Audible book for it. I've read it multiple times. I've listened to it. It's really awesome. So Kahneman says System 1 is fast, intuitive, effortless, this whole unconscious thing. And we don't feel we have control over it. It just happens to us. And System 2 is slower, it's analytic, and it requires more cognitive effort. Meaning System 2, this whole conscious decision making, is that what costs our brain energy, and that's why our brain often doesn't use it and it doesn't like it that much. But it is this subjective experience of we have agency, we have choice, and we can just decide to do it and do it. And this is where my whole, the system I've created for myself works so beautifully. And this worksheet has really changed my life. And I have it on my iPad, I have it printed out, I have a small version of that in here that I open up before I start working. So later on we will talk about BJ Fogg and his tiny habits. And I just connected this worksheet with, I start working, I open my journal, and I have it in there. And yes, so this is the deliberate decision protocol. And the way it works is you start, let me go to the next one. So here you can just do it in your journal or you can print it out. Remember, the link for my Google Drive is below. And so you put in your date and, for example, completing my slides for the tutorial video. That are those slides. My System 1, this whole automatic thing, is where I caught myself searching Amazon. That is this whole automatic thing. But then I have this whole System 2 where deliberately I really want to finish those slides because I want to create this video. My present view is, if I think now, so what's more important, searching Amazon or what do I want, search Amazon or finish the slides? And so this is where this whole unconscious thing going to Amazon happened, is I really want to finish my slides. And the next step is retrospect in 7 days, meaning it's like if you were 7 days from today looking back to this moment, would you have wanted yourself, or would I have wanted myself to spend the time on Amazon, or would I have rather wanted myself to work on the slides? And this is very clear. It's 7 days from today. I really would have wanted myself to work on those slides. And if I do this, finish this is where I'm conscious and I can consciously decide, hey, do I want to spend the time on Amazon, or do I want to use the time I have to work on my slides? And as you can see, I completed my slides. So I made the decision to work on my slides. Now, this is one way it can go. And then I have an example of another way it can go, for example, preparing dinner. So I'm stressed at the moment. That was the day, it was in October. It's quite a long time ago I worked on those slides. But anyway, so I feel like at the moment getting a burger and fries for dinner. But on the other hand, I want to prepare a healthy meal. So System 1 is going out with my family and having junk food for dinner. System 2 is, no, I have health goals and I want to be more healthy, so I want to prepare a healthy dinner. So the present view is right now, my feeling is, yes, I much rather have the burger and fries. I want comfort food, I want to feel good, I want to have mashed potatoes and all the stuff that can potentially be not that healthy. Sorry, let me have a sip of my coffee. So, oh, it's cold. Anyway, but if I look at this whole situation, 7 days from today, I really, looking back, if I'm 7 days from today and I look back to today, what would I have wanted myself to decide? And obviously I would have wanted myself to decide, on a more healthy dinner and not go to the deep fried junk food. So those are both ways you can do it. And that is still, you haven't decided anything yet when you did that. But when you look at this, you can say, okay, so what do I really want? Which of those decisions aligns with my actual goal, with what I really want? And hey, it's important to take time off. And it's good to just sit down and spend time with your family or watch a nice movie or do other things. I'm not saying you have to work 24/7 or work on your goal 24/7. It's just taking this step back and making a more conscious decision and being aware of that. Very often you let your decisions happen on autopilot. So do this with one of your things as an example. And maybe connect it with sitting down at your desk, or whenever you have this thing that you want to procrastinate, or when you make dinner plans or lunch plans. Use this. And I know at the beginning it's like this bit of a hurdle and it takes a bit. So, or print it out and put one in your kitchen, put one on your desk, and just put it there that you stumble over it. So create systems that you just cannot fail, and that just makes you use it. So for me, I carry this thing everywhere. So I have it in here and I just leave it open on at my desk. And I've created a habit around that. So I use this a lot. And again, it has really worked miracles for me. Now, what if I need more? And I've had phases, again, this whole thing of having a flu, not feeling well, feeling low, and then my self-discipline or emotion regulation thing is way somewhere gone. So what if I need a little more? And this is, again, connect this sheet with something you already do. That's what I said. Leave it in the kitchen where you cook if you have health goals, or on your desk, or I don't know what your goals are yet. But again, you can schedule a call with me on my website, 15 minutes, and we can just talk about it. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you. But so some of them switch and others don't. So anyway, so this is the model, and I forgot, no, I have, it's BJ Fogg's research on motivation. So he says, if it's easy, we're more likely to engage in the desired action. And if it's hard, we're less likely to engage in an action. So he says that you should connect the thing you want to do with something you already do. So if you go to the kitchen and you have the thing attached to your fridge, when you make the decision what to eat, you work through it. If you have it lying on your desk where you do the work that you want to do and have been procrastinating, and you see it, you're more likely to do it. If it is hidden away somewhere and you still need to print it, or it's just in your iPad, or it's, wherever you have your documents. And so if something is easy, again, we're more likely to engage in the action than when it's hard. And he has this whole example of push-ups, where he said he makes 60 or some push-ups a day. And this would be something very hard. But what he did is every time he goes to the bathroom, afterwards, he does 2 push-ups, and anybody can do 2 push-ups. And so after a while, 2 push-ups are easy, and then it grows to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, or 10 times, and then you go to the bathroom like 6, 8 times a day, and then it quickly adds up. So I did this for about a week, quite a few years ago, where I said, okay, let me try this, and I did this, and I did I went to the bathroom, I would do 2 push-ups and go, and then one night I woke up like at 1:30 in the morning. I had to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom, and after a few days, it had become so automatic that even at 1:30 in the morning, I did the 2 push-ups without thinking. And that is where it becomes an automatic process. And after about a week, I had to travel for work. I was standing in I had to travel for work. I was in a train. I had to go to the bathroom. I looked at the floor in the bathroom and I thought, no way. That is when the whole habit broke for me. Afterwards, I had a call with BJ Fogg, and he told me, if that happens, then just do something else instead. So do 2 squats instead. Just don't break the habit. Just replace it with something else. That was very smart, but that was too late and I never started it again. Might be a good thing because it would match my fitness goals. So anyway, connect your task with a worksheet, either the one I just showed you or the next one that we're just starting. So again, here you have the link below for this. If you would like to have it, you don't have to log in. There's nothing. It's just a Google Sheet you can download. And so this is if you feel like a little bit more stuck and you need a little bit more help. So this is what is my desired action for today, and that is a date. I have a few of them printed out and I have them lying on my desk and I can go back and have a look at them. And so what is my desired action for today? And that can be anything. Let me go here and make it bigger that you can, if you're watching that on your phone, that you can see it better. So what's your desired action for today? And that can be to have a healthy dinner. It can be to work on my website. It can be to record a YouTube video. And then the whole thing, what is the long-term benefit for me? So obviously eating healthy, I'll be more healthy. My brain will be sharper. Less likelihood of chronic disease. Okay, so working on my website, what are the benefits for you? Anything that you've been, or the thing that you've been procrastinating, what are the long-term benefits for you? And then something very important. So what is my current mood? So I'm sitting down at my desk wanting to work on my website. And what if I think about that, what's my current mood? And then I really like this wheel because it helps us find the emotions, especially if we're so much, we can be so much in our heads that we're not really tuned into emotions, and that's really me. And naming it, and there are some science behind it that just naming it already reduces that kind of negative emotion. So with this whole my current mood is, I'm probably a bit fearful, I'm anxious, this whole tech stuff is not my world. So I feel, I don't know, I feel, let me see, anxious a bit. I feel overwhelmed and quite helpless because, again, this whole techie thing is not really my world. And so what's my current mood repair strategy? That would be probably Instagram or shopping on Amazon or cleaning my email inbox or cleaning my kitchen or walking my dog. And just list them there. And it's not with any judgment, it's just listing them there. So let's go on to the next page. So the next thing is your current moment, your present self. So what is the procrastinated action? And you put that in here. And that would be for me, for example, working on my website. And if I work on my website, what will that do? At some point, my website will be finished. That means I can offer courses. That means I have something more helpful for people that come to my website. And that means it works towards my future goal of building an online business. And then this whole thing, if I break it down into ridiculously tiny tasks, and I mean really ridiculously tiny, like open, and I do this because it makes it more doable for me. It's like this whole website, building a website or building an online business. For me, it feels very much like I have a map, I know where I am, I know where I want to get to, but there are a whole bunch of parts of the map that are missing. So this whole anxiety and overwhelm come because this is not my area of expertise. If you tell me to research any topic and write a review about it, I can do that. But I cannot, I'm not a website builder, I'm not a web developer. It's not my world, even though the platform I'm using is quite simple and it's basically has this cool editing feature, so I don't need to program or anything, but still it's quite overwhelming. So what I like to do is those ridiculously tiny tasks, and that means opening my laptop, starting my laptop, open my browser, type in kajabi.com, go to website editing, look at the first section or whatever I'm doing. So really make it really, really small. Make it really simple for yourself and break it down in as many small tasks as you need. And that makes it very much more doable for your brain. And those tiny chunks, again, remember this whole first driving lesson, when taking a turn, depending on where you live, turning left or turning right is more difficult. And it has become one thing now. So the more complex, the less skilled you are at something, the smaller those tasks need to be. Because if, say, for example, a friend of mine, she's an app developer. If I tell her, hey, can you please create me this app and it needs to have this and this and that, she can do that. She doesn't even think about it. If I would have to do it, you need to break it down to me. So for me, I need those tiny tasks because it is hard for me. And I hope this made any sense. If not, just send me a message and I'll try to explain it to you on a call. I'm really sorry. But this is really important. And now, go back and do this worksheet. Print it out or have it wherever that kind of stuff lives for you. If you have it on your computer, on your iPad or anything, do this a few times and then notice how it changes how you deal with things. And for me, it has changed a lot. And this is why I use them a lot, because I wouldn't have created this video if I wouldn't have had those two tools, and if I wouldn't have put this whole stress reduction stuff into my calendar where I really plan it. I walk the dog in the forest behind the house to reduce my stress. And obviously my dog needs exercise. I take my coffee and sit in the terrace, and I will reheat my coffee in a second, and I will take a moment on the terrace to de-stress, because obviously still creating videos is rather stressful for me. It's nothing that comes natural to me. So do those things, and there is so much science behind that. And here on this YouTube channel, I will share more and more science behind those things, because a lot of those self-help things, they drive me nuts. They drive me crazy, because I think they're more harmful than they do good, because they are for, say, very neurotypical, very driven people that have never had any more serious issues in their life. And yes, maybe they claim it, or maybe they've even had issues and it solved their problem, but it's so anecdotal and there is no solid evidence behind most of them. And for me, I'd rather follow the evidence and I take my chance on science, because it's science, and because the likelihood of it working is way higher than if I just take something just because my neighbor said it or this internet guru said it. So thank you so much for joining me on this. Do the worksheets, take the time, work through this workshop and do the stuff. It really makes a difference. And I would like to invite you to join my Procrastinators Anonymous meeting. It's once a month. At the moment, while I'm creating this video, it's the last Tuesday of every month. It's 5 o'clock, I think, my time. You can sign up through goalsninja.com. It's free, and I would just like us to get together, and I will share some science about it. You can obviously talk about your issues, and let's do this. Let's do this together. And send me an email on gwen@goalsninja.com, or just go on to goalsninja.com and let's have a chat. You can sign up for a 15-minute call with me. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know you, and let me know how it works. And please subscribe to this channel and comment below how this worked for you. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Bye.